Because this bachelor looking for love back in 1978 is actually a serial killer.
I'm called the Banana, and I look really good.
There have been many serial killers in American history, but few are as unnerving as Rodney Alcala. Not just for his sheer brutality, but for how he managed to hide in plain sight, even making a national television appearance while in the middle of his killing spree. This is the story of how one of the most dangerous men in modern history managed to charm his way onto primetime television and slip through the cracks of the justice system for decades. In the late 1970s, American television was a world of bright lights, glitz, and hope, a stage where romance was celebrated. It was in this environment that Rodney Alcala made a shocking appearance. In 1978, while already involved in a series of gruesome crimes, he stepped onto the set of The Dating Game. The show, known for its light-hearted competition among eligible bachelors, featured a bachelorette choosing from 3 mysterious suitors hidden behind a screen. To millions of viewers, Alcala was just one more charming contestant. On the show, he was introduced as a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the darkroom at age 13. His smooth delivery and playful banter quickly made him stand out. When asked a suggestive question, he responded with the line, "I'm called the Banana and I look good," followed by a cheeky, "Peel me." The audience laughed, unaware that the man behind the humor was a cold-blooded killer. Despite his fun answers, the bachelorette, Cheryl Bradshaw, felt uneasy. Although she eventually chose him as her date, she later confessed that something was off, an instinct that might have saved her life. That moment on The Dating Game marked the beginning of a dual life, one that played on television screens and another that unfolded in the shadows of his brutal crimes.
Cheryl, please. We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl. Okay, and here we go.
Rodney Alcala was born Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bucor on August 23, 1943, in San Antonio, Texas. He spent his early childhood in Mexico before moving to Los Angeles at the age of 8. Growing up between two cultures, he struggled with a sense of belonging and developed a knack for charm that would later serve him well in deceiving others. At 17, Alcala enlisted in the U.S. Army. His time in the military showed potential for discipline and structure, but his career was cut short in 1965 after a nervous breakdown and serious allegations of sexual misconduct. These early signs of instability foreshadowed a darker path. In 1968, while studying at the University of California, Los Angeles, Alcala earned a fine arts degree. His passion for photography quickly took on a sinister side. What began as an innocent hobby soon turned into a disturbing tool for his crimes. Using a camera, he would capture his victims, often taking pictures before or after his brutal attacks. This macabre collection of photographs later became a haunting testament to his crimes, offering a grim glimpse into the mind of a man who saw beauty only in terror. On September 1st, 1970, The Dating Game offered American audiences a night of flirtation and light humor. Unbeknownst to the show's producers, one of the contestants was already deep into a series of violent crimes. At the time, background checks were rare, and the system failed to catch the dark secret behind Alcala's charming exterior. Viewers saw a man who could easily make them laugh, a man who used his wit and good looks to deflect suspicion. However, behind that smile lay a killer who would soon be linked to the disappearance and murder of multiple victims. His appearance on the show was a calculated performance, one that helped him blend into society and avoid detection. Alcala's ability to charm was not limited to television. It became his way of gaining trust from strangers, drawing in potential victims who never suspected the danger hidden behind his affable demeanor. His time on The Dating Game is now remembered not for its entertainment value, but for the horrific irony that a man capable of such brutality could appear so harmless on national TV. After his television appearance, the true extent of Rodney Alcala's crimes began to emerge. His first known murder occurred in 1979 when 12-year-old Robin Samso disappeared on her way to ballet class. The discovery of her remains sparked a long and painful investigation. What started with one young victim soon escalated into a series of brutal killings that stretched across California and New York. Alcala's crimes were marked by a disturbing signature: his habit of taking photographs of his victims. These pictures were not merely mementos, they were proof of his methodical approach to terror. Hidden in a storage locker in Seattle, hundreds of these photos were later found. images of young women and girls in moments of fear and vulnerability. Each photograph tells a silent story of exploitation, capturing the final, haunting moments of lives cut short. This photographic obsession became a central part of his identity as a killer. His camera, a tool that could capture the beauty of life, instead froze moments of horror. The images served as both trophies and a dark ledger of his crimes. They remain one of the most chilling aspects of his legacy, a reminder of how he used art to document his monstrous deeds. Despite the evidence and the growing list of victims, bringing Rodney Alcala to justice was a long and troubled process. After the murder of Robin Samsu, Alcala was initially sentenced to death in 1980. However, in 1984, that conviction was overturned on technical grounds, leading to a retrial in 1986. Although he received another death sentence, legal battles and appeals delayed his punishment for decades. It wasn't until 2010, with new forensic techniques and a stronger body of evidence, that Alcala was finally convicted on 5 counts of first-degree murder. Even then, his crimes continued to be unraveled. In 2012, he was sentenced for additional murders in New York, and in 2016, prosecutors in Wyoming brought charges related to another killing. Alcala's repeated trials and overturned convictions revealed deep flaws in the legal system. The delays and inconsistencies in his sentencing left many feeling that justice had been elusive for too long. His ability to exploit gaps in the law and remain at large underscored the challenges law enforcement faced in pinning down a predator who was as elusive as he was dangerous. Amid the overwhelming darkness of his crimes, the voices of survivors shine through as beacons of hope and resilience. 2 young girls, Tali Shapiro and Morgan Rowan, managed to escape his clutches and later shared their experiences. Stories that are as painful as they are courageous. Tali Shapiro was only 8 years old when, on a seemingly normal morning in 1968, Alcala offered her a ride on her way to school. She initially refused, but when he mentioned knowing her parents, she reluctantly agreed. The encounter turned into a nightmare of violence, leaving her with severe injuries and lasting scars. Shapiro's testimony details a brutal attack where she was struck and left with over 27 stitches, a stark reminder of the physical and emotional toll of Alcala's violence. Morgan Rowan, just 13 when she first encountered Alcala near a teen nightclub, experienced a similarly harrowing ordeal. What began as an innocent interaction quickly escalated into a violent abduction in a dark alley, and then inside a room where she was brutally assaulted. Rowan's story is marked by raw terror, a moment when she felt her life slipping away, only to be saved by the intervention of a friend. Their survival is a testament to their strength and a reminder of the human cost of Alcala's crimes. The brave accounts of Shapiro and Rowan provide crucial insight into the life of a killer. Their stories remind us that behind every statistic and headline are real people whose lives were forever changed by one man's actions. These survivors continue to speak out, ensuring that the victims and the pain inflicted by Alcala are not forgotten. Rodney Alcala's reign of terror eventually met its end, not through the swift justice that many had hoped for, but through decades of legal maneuvering and delayed punishment. On July 24, 2021, while still on death row in California, he died of natural causes at the age of 77. At the time of his death, California had a moratorium on the death penalty, meaning his execution had been postponed indefinitely. His death did not erase the horror he had inflicted. Instead, it brought a somber end to a life marked by deception, brutality, and a continuous evasion of true justice. While the legal battles ended with his passing, the impact of his crimes lives on. For survivors, families of victims, and investigators, the case of Rodney Alcala remains a painful reminder of a system that struggled to contain a monster for far too long. Even in death, Alcala's story raises questions about the nature of evil and the ways in which society can be deceived by appearances. His ability to blend into everyday life, to appear as a harmless, even charming individual on national television, contrasts sharply with the monstrous acts he committed behind closed doors. The story of Rodney Alcala is more than a catalog of heinous crimes. It is a lesson about the dangers of misplaced trust and the difficulty of recognizing evil in its many forms. His life forces us to ask, how can a person who seems so ordinary, even engaging, hide a capacity for such cruelty? The answer lies in the way he used charm as a weapon, blending the lines between art and horror, light and darkness. His case has become a reference point in the study of criminal behavior and the psychology of serial killers. Academics, law enforcement officers, and true crime enthusiasts have long debated how someone so skilled in deception could operate undetected for so many years. The chilling images he left behind, the photographs of frightened faces and moments of terror, serve as a lasting record of his crimes, a reminder that the face of evil can often be the most unsuspecting. Today, Rodney Alcala's name is synonymous with a dark chapter in American criminal history. His story is told in books, documentaries, and academic studies as both a cautionary tale and an example of how the justice system sometimes fails to protect its citizens from those who hide behind a mask of normalcy. It is a story that forces us to remain vigilant and question how we perceive trust, charm, and the true nature of those around us. For many, the dating game killer is a symbol of the unexpected nature of evil. The irony that a man capable of causing so much pain could once charm a television audience with witty remarks is a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving. His life compels us to look deeper, to question the facade of everyday interactions, and to recognize that sometimes the most dangerous threats come in the guise of a friendly smile. In the aftermath of his death, communities still struggle with the loss and trauma left in the wake of his crimes. For the families of the victims, every anniversary of a tragedy is a reminder of the life that was stolen by a man who used his charm as a cover for unspeakable acts. For survivors like Tali Shapiro and Morgan Rowan, each day is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure, even in the face of the most horrifying experiences. Alcala's case also serves as an important study in the evolution of criminal investigation techniques. The delays in his conviction and the eventual use of advanced forensic methods highlight how far law enforcement has come and how much further it needs to go to catch those who operate in the shadows. His ability to slip through legal loopholes and remain at large for so long is a stark reminder of the challenges that authorities face when dealing with cunning, methodical criminals. The life and crimes of Rodney Alcala remain a disturbing chapter in the history of American true crime. His story is one of contrasts, a man who could light up a television set with charm, yet harbored a dark, violent soul capable of great cruelty. It is a tale of a predator who exploited trust and familiarity to commit acts that continue to shock and sadden those who learn of them. In reflecting on his story, we are forced to confront uncomfortable truths about how evil can hide in plain sight. The case of the dating game killer challenges us to rethink our assumptions about those around us and reminds us that sometimes the most unassuming individuals can be the most dangerous. As society continues to grapple with the legacy of his crimes, the lessons learned from Rodney Alcala's life will remain a powerful reminder of the need for vigilance, compassion, and a relentless pursuit of justice.